What's up, Raptors fans? Welcome to the Warriors Report. We got some exciting news to talk to you about, and yes, we actually attracted a decent name. Otto Porter Jr. has signed a 2-year contract with the Toronto Raptors. I'm going to go through his stats. I'm going to break down his offensive and defensive impact that he will have with the Raptors, and I will ultimately give you the Raptors' depth on the bench as well. This is big for the Raptors as they've had somewhat of a trouble, let's be honest, attracting certain names, and they're usually very minor signings, but Otto Porter Jr. is going to be a huge piece for the Raptors off the bench. So for today's video, I'm going to break all of that fun stuff down. So if you're ready to watch this video, guys, let's make sure to like the video. It does help get this video out a lot more. Let's try to get to 250 likes. If you want to hit the subscribe button as well, that would be very much appreciated. So with that being said, let's get into today's video. Now, shortly after the Raptors had signed Otto Porter Jr., Josh Lewenberg had actually tweeted this out, which is perfectly going along with the 6'9 vision, 6'8, 6'9 vision of the Toronto Raptors. Now, they did sign him to a 2-year contract, and I did want to note that second year is a player option, much like how we saw with Stanley Johnson, much like how we saw with Sweet Mihailuk as well. So Thaddeus Young, Krem Burge, Chris Boucher, Precious Achiuwa, Scotty Barnes, OG Pascal, and then, of course, Otto Porter Jr. at the very bottom, 6'8", all full of guys that are able to really switch onto multiple guys, and he's got an enormous wingspan of 7 feet 2 inches, and this isn't even including Christian Koloko in there as well. He's got, I believe, a 7'4" wingspan, so quite an interesting pickup. I'm really excited about this pickup, guys. But let's quickly touch on his stats, just to give you an idea for those who may not be familiar with Otto Porter Jr. and what he had done with the Warriors. Now, he was a big part of their playoffs. He was a key part of them, of coming off the bench. And as you see there, during the regular season with the Warriors, he averaged 8.2 points, 1.5 assists, 1.1 steals, but he's a pretty good rebounder for his size, 5.7 rebounds. And what impresses me most about Otto Porter Jr. is he's really fit into his role. For those who recall, he was on the Washington Wizards starting his career, and he really just had a hard time finding out the type of player he is and just figuring out his role. And again, this is in 22 minutes. He's done a really good job. His field goal percentage is pretty nice. 46.4% is amazing. And what I really like about Otto Porter Jr., this is one of the more challenging aspects of trying to acquire someone who's listed at 6'8", 6'9". Can he hit his three-point shots? Is he a good defensive player? Can he hit his free throws? And Otto Porter Jr. does all of that. He shot 37% on 3.4 attempts per game with the Warriors. And when you take a look at his career statistics, he's nearly a 40% three-point shooter, which is unbelievable, and that is something the Raptors desperately needed because their bench not only struggles with scoring, we also struggle mightily with three-point shooting. And again, he can hit his free throws at a really efficient rate as well, 80% from there. So again, I'm personally really excited about this, but there are some other aspects we have to talk about when we talk about Otto Porter Jr. As I talked about in my last video, Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster like to sign guys or go after guys in the draft that will impact winning. Now, obviously, he is a bench player, so I'm not exactly expecting him to have huge numbers here, but talking about the offensive and the defensive impact that he will have with the Raptors, this is his last season with the Warriors. Offensively, he added about 2.2 wins. Defensively, he added about 2.7 win shares. So in total, he had added about nearly 5 wins to that Warriors squad. And again, you take a look at his offensive rating, 121. I think it's fair to say he definitely benefited a little bit with playing with, obviously the Warriors system. That is a high offense system there, but he's also a really good defensive player. This does not get talked about enough. His defense is unbelievable. 104 defensive rating would have him ranked best on the Toronto Raptors if that was the case, if he played with the Raptors last season. And then offensive box plus minus as well as defensive box plus minus. So when he's on the floor, the Warriors are a +1 on the offensive side, and on the defensive side, they are a +2.1. So again, I think Otto Porter Jr., the exciting part about him is he's listed at that, 6'8", 6'9" vision. He's going to be able to guard guys like Jason Tatum, who's obviously becoming a real problem in the Eastern Conference. So you have multiple bodies to throw at Jason Tatum. Obviously, you have Giannis, the freak too. I'm not saying Otto Porter Jr. is going to stop him, but this is quite interesting because now this just gives Nick Nurse another option off of the bench. We know Nick Nurse really struggled with finding bench guys outside of maybe Chris Boucher. And as the season went along, we had Thaddeus Young, we had Precious Achiuwa getting a lot more minutes, but this finally gives Nick Nurse another option off of the bench. And I'm just absolutely in love with this trade for several reasons, guys. I'm trying not to drool here as I say this, and I'm tempted to throw out those Will Chamberlain jokes as well, but he's an exciting player. He plays great defense. He gets in there. He makes those little plays. Anyone who followed the Warriors this season or even watched a handful of playoff games, you can see he doesn't necessarily put up the biggest stats, but he does those little things that go such a long way. Much like how kind of Andrew Wiggins was, have those key stop moments against Jason Tatum, really just give him problems, grab those rebounds, get in there for a nice basket. And he's even had those games. Like, he's a very talented offensive player, and he's one that could go off for 20 points, 25 points occasionally. So he has that potential, but obviously he won't be getting as many shots. But it is important to talk about the Raptors' depth at the bench. Now, when you take a look at the center position, we still do have Cam Birch. So Cam Birch and Precious Achiuwa will be manning the center position down. And this bench looks really impressive if you ask me, because obviously Precious Achiuwa is likely going to be the starting center coming off the bench. But this just gives the Raptors multiple options. I did not throw Otto Porter Jr. in here, but you can throw him in multiple places. And look, we brought Thaddeus Young and Chris Boucher back yesterday. So Chris Boucher obviously is the power forward. Thaddeus Young is one of those players. You can play 15 minutes a game. You can play 10 minutes a game. You can play him 20 minutes a game. You can play in multiple positions. You can have him as a power forward. You can have him as a small forward, a shooting guard at times, even at point guards if you want to run that full 6'8", 6'9" vision. So Thaddeus Young, I've had him listed at power forward. You can kind of interchange him. And then, of course, you have Justin Champagnie as well. I'm expecting personally big things from Justin Champagnie this season. I'm expecting him to get good rotational minutes. He absolutely killed it with the Raptors 905. And he's a good three-point shooter as well, who just really gets out there for those rebounds. And he's got a really knack for those defensive plays as well. You'll notice with Justin Champagnie. So again, you can interchange him as small forward, shooting guard as well. And then you have Armoni Brooks, who is a shooting guard. Again, his contract isn't fully guaranteed, so I'm going to put him at the shooting guard position. He's fairly nice as well. He's got a long wingspan there, so you have him there. And then you have Malachi Flynn and Delano Banton. Now, Delano Banton, I think you can play him with Malachi Flynn. He's tall enough. He's 6'8", 6'9". You can play him at that shooting guard position as well. And again, personally, guys, I know everyone is down on Malachi Flynn. I'm expecting him to have a bounce-back season. Now, the only question is, like, is there going to be enough minutes to go around for everyone? Otto Porter Jr. is listed as a power forward in his obviously previous stint with the Wizards. He used to play small forward. So the only question is, especially because we're kind of at a logjam at the center of power forward position, and I didn't even include in Christian Koloko or Ron Harper Jr., who can also play the small forward position as well. But where does he fit in? Is there going to be enough minutes? Is Nick Nurse just going to throw out Otto Porter Jr., Chris Boucher, Cam Birch, Thaddeus Young out there with Justin Champagnie? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where the minutes and how the minutes are distributed, but it's going to be exciting, guys. I'm personally really excited about this signing. Otto Porter Jr. is a solid name. It's not like the last year's free agency, and with all due respect to Svi Mykhailiuk, it's not one of those end of the bench guys where they're the 12th, 13th, 14th guy off of the bench. So we finally get a good name. I'm excited about this signing, but I do want to hear from you guys. What is your initial reaction of this signing? Would you have preferred the Raptors to maybe acquire a point guard? Would you rather have the Raptors maybe acquire a shooting guard or small forward? What are your thoughts? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And also, I just want to point this out before we end this video, guys. We have to take into note that Pascal and Scottie can both play the point guard position. I know people may not be very confident with Delano Banton or Malachi Flynn heading into next season. So again, you can say, well, they need a backup point guard, but as soon as Fred goes to the bench, you can have that full 6'8", 6'9" lineup, right? So you can have Scottie running the point guard at times. You can have Pascal Siakam. And again, like I said, I'm personally high on Malachi Flynn. I expect him to bounce back next season. So we have players that can play the point guard position. So it'll be exciting. Let's see what happens next season. But make sure to leave your thoughts down below. Make sure to like this video, guys. Make sure to subscribe as well. And that will be it for today's video, guys. So no shout out, no trivia question. I just wanted to get this video out as quickly as I can while putting together some decent stats for you guys. So that will be it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have yourselves a great day.